Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. Why do people own guns in America? Interesting question. For more than 50 years, every time the surveys are done, the answer comes up the same. The number one reason that people own guns in America is self-protection. Self-defense. And yes, we do a lot of other things with our guns. We hunt. We shoot competition. We like to shoot recreationally, which is just going out and shooting. We own guns because we like collecting guns, because they're interesting. They're fascinating pieces of history and fascinating mechanical devices. But ultimately, when you get right down to it, the primary reason that people in America own guns is to protect themselves and their families. And yet there are people who will tell you, well, that is just crazy. That doesn't work. More guns can only mean more crime and more deaths. More guns have to mean more deaths, they tell us. Except, and I get it. It's there's a certain amount of superficial logic in that. If you come to the idea of gun ownership thinking that guns are only used or primarily used for crime, if your exposure is that guns equal crime, you only know guns through news reports, well, what does the news report on? They don't report that yesterday 100 million people owned guns and did not commit crimes with them. No, but they'll say, yesterday there was a shooting at such and such. And so in the minds of a lot of people, if they're not gun owners particularly, and honestly, even if they are gun owners, some of them, they start to believe that more guns must equal more crime. Because all I ever hear is guns, crime, guns, crime, guns, crime. That's all there is. I never hear guns, anything else. So their reality, is that guns are used to commit crimes. So they'll say, well, we have all these people buying guns now. That's gotta mean we're going to have more crime. A new Harvard study says that, of course, more guns equal more crime. Except, and here's the thing, I get that's what they feel, but if you take out 2020, if you take out the riots, you take out the unease, the pandemic, the releasing criminals from the jails under the guise of COVID protection, and turning violent criminals loose on the population. And if you put aside the defund the police, where police are simply resigning in huge numbers and retiring, so we've had this temporary blip increase in crime. If you take out 2020, what you see is that more guns clearly do not equal crime, more crime. How do we know that? Well, we know that from the stats, not from what it feels like. We know that because the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, keeps the records, and they've always kept the records. They call them the FBI's Uniform Crime Reports. They put out the reports every year. And what we've seen is a 20-year downslide. Well, that's not fair. It's a plummet in murders and a huge, huge drop-off in crimes committed with guns. We're talking 50% decrease in murders and a 70% decrease in gun crimes over a 20-year period. And just to make sure we're understanding this, during that same 20-year period, where we have massive drops in violent crime and murders, we have massive increases in guns being purchased. Tens of millions of guns being purchased, and murders went down, and violent crime went down. And crimes committed with guns went down. How can this be when they keep telling us that more guns equals more crime? Well, it's not really that hard to understand. Most people are good people. Most people don't commit crimes. Criminals are a small percentage. And here's the deal. Criminals are going to be criminals. There's an aspect to this that's interesting also. We're not sure what the number is, call it close to 20 million people who are licensed now to carry loaded guns for their personal protection, concealed guns. And in a whole bunch of states, you don't even need a permit anymore to carry a concealed firearm for your personal protection. And in a lot of states, you can carry openly. You don't have to even conceal your gun. And for the most part, the people who are licensed to carry guns commit crimes at an incredibly low rate. Roughly 1% of that of the national average of people who don't have carry permits. Wait. What did he just say? What I just said was the average person who does not have a concealed carry permit is 100 times more likely to commit a crime, a violent crime, than the person who has a concealed carry permit, who's licensed to carry a loaded gun on his or her person. Not my numbers. It's been studied to death. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement studied it. John Lott has studied it in his multiple books. More guns do not equal more crime. So what we have now is some 5 million brand new first-time gun owners this year. People who've never owned a gun before in their lives have run out and bought guns. Some 40 to 50% of the guns purchased right now are purchased by first-time gun owners. What's going on? Well, really easy to understand. When you talk to them, they say, well, I'm just nervous. The COVID thing, the riots, the defund the police, the turning loose of violent criminals, the election. I don't know what's going to happen. What they're saying without saying it is, I acknowledge that I am my own first responder. That's the reality. It's always been true. It's just that some people are waking up to it now. You are your own first responder. Nobody else is. If you choose to abdicate that responsibility, if you choose to not protect yourself, to not protect your family, now you're going to depend upon somebody showing up at some point and bringing a gun to a situation where you should have had your own. Because if you call 911 and ask them to send a police officer, you're saying, please send someone with a gun to solve this problem that's probably going to be over by the time they get here. How dare you not take responsibility for your own safety? How dare you not protect your family and your children? And it's not a matter of buying a gun. This is a matter of preparedness. It's a matter of deciding that you are responsible for your own safety. No one else is. Well, yeah, of course I'm responsible. Yeah, really? What are you doing about it? Well, I own guns. So what? Do you train? Do you take classes? Do you practice? Do you compete? Do you learn new skills? Have you tried red dot sights? Have you tried different kinds of ammo? Have you taken a class on stopping the bleed? Do you carry a tourniquet with you every day, everywhere you go? Oh, wow, you sound paranoid. Nope. I'm just prepared.